Hi everyone, good morning. Okay, let's get started. Today we'll see case statement, subqueries, joins, and if possible we'll also see procedures and functions. For first, functions. And procedures. Okay, so I think we'll be able to do only these three today, but let's see. Okay, so once we complete these, so after the procedures we also have something called triggers. So triggers is not that important in this stage, so maybe we'll see, but procedures are important. Till procedures we understand that. And also after the subqueries we also have something called CTs. Okay, what is case statement? When do we use it? Okay, it is actually used in select statement, select clause, where clause. Okay, and you can also use it in the group by clause, order by clause. Basically, it's a conditional statement. Okay, based on a condition, you can derive a different value. Okay, for example, let's say you have a table. In that there is a gender column. Okay, which has just M and F and others for other gender. M for male, F for female, and O for other gender. So when you are retrieving the data from that table, wherever there is M, you have to show it as male. Wherever there is F, you will have to show it as female. Wherever there is O, you need to show it as others. Okay, this male, female, and others text is not there in the table. So you need to derive it using a condition. What is our condition here? If our condition is something like this, like this is a pseudo code. If gender column equals to M, then show it as male. Okay, if gender equals to F, then female. Else, if you have only 3 letters, you can continue this for all the conditions that you have, but since we have only 3 values in this case, so we can just directly use else. In the else part I call it as others, like whatever is left, then this is others. Okay, so this is conditional statement, right? The same thing we can write using the case statement. How do we write it? What is the syntax for the case? The syntax for the case is case. You need to start your condition with this keyword called case. When, then you should write when gender equals to M, then it is male. Then if you have to add one more condition, then you need to start with when again. When gender equals to female, F, then female. If you have one more condition, then you should write when and so on. Else, you can write else part here also. Else others. And you need to end this statement using the end keyword. It is important. Whenever you start with case, that means your case statement is open. You need to end it like this. Okay. So this is the syntax of the case statement. Now where do we use it? So we don't have any table with the column gender, but we have in our table, in this person table that we were looking into, select star from person dot person. Okay, let's say here we have this email promotion column, right? So here we just have values as 0, 1 and 2. If I do the distinct email promotion, I just have 3 values. But how do I know what is the meaning of it? So there should be some meaning to it, right? Okay, let's think that 0 means no promotion. I mean, no email promotion. 1 means daily promotion. 2 means weekly promotion. Okay, let's say this is our business logic. So how do we write it in the select statement? Let's say I write select. I want to get business entity ID. Business entity ID. Person type. Then I have first name, middle name, last name, right? We can also use operators in the select statement, okay, like concatenation operator, arithmetic operators and all that. So I'll use text concatenation operator here as first name, then I'll use space in between, okay, and plus is the text concatenation operator here, and I use middle name, or I'll skip middle name, I'll just use last name. I call this column as, what this will do is it will concatenate the first name and space in between and the last name, and I'll call this as full name. Okay, and email promotion. From person.person. This is what I'm getting. So now for this email promotion, what I do, I'll implement this logic using the case statement. I'll bring this to the next line, and here I write case when email promotion equals to 0, then no promotion. Then I'll write, I have one more condition, when email promotion equals to 1, then daily promotion. When email promotion equals to 2, then weekly promotion. Else, okay, we already have no promotion here, right? Maybe let's say we'll make this as daily, this as weekly, this as monthly, and if none of this, then it is no promotion. And we have to, importantly, I have to use this end keyword. Once you complete your case statement, and after this you need to give a column name also to this case statement, because this case statement conditionally adding these values, right? So it will not have a name, so you need to give a name to it. You will call it as email promotion description maybe. Okay, so if I execute this, I'll also have this column also, email promotion column as well. If I execute this, what I'm getting, this is my original column, so I am deriving a new column using this condition, using the case statement. If it is 0, daily promotion, 1, weekly promotion, 2, monthly promotion, else no promotion, but we do not have any other values other than this 0, 1, 2, 3, so this value will never be there. Okay, this is how we use case statement. Okay, and you can also use multiple case statements within one case statement. That means you can nest a case statement within one another. Okay, for example, okay, so to explain that, I'll take one more example. Let's say here we have this person type, right? Let's see what are the different person types we have. Let me take distinct person. So we have these many person types. What are the description of for this in EM, SP, SC, VC and GC? So these are the values. In means individual customer with title or individual customer without title. EM means employee, SP means salesperson, SC means store contact, VC means vendor contact, GC means general contact. If anything else, then he is an unknown person. Okay, this is the person type. Now I can modify this one to incorporate this logic also. What is this logic? This one. What I'll do after this, or maybe before person type, I'll add. And this spacing I'm giving here, this is called indentation. Okay, so this is a standard coding standard we follow, right, to increase the readability of your code. Okay, here I'll write case when person type equals to in, then individual individual contact or individual customer, then when person type equals to EM, then employee and so on. I have already typed it. I'll just paste it here and so on. But importantly, after all your conditions, I'll have to add else also. After all your conditions, you need to add end. Okay, and then comma, because this entire thing will create a new column. That's why you have to add comma to separate this with other columns. So if I just run it without giving any name to this column, you see here I have person type. It says no column because I've just written a condition to create a column. I've not given any name to this column. So you need to give a name after and. You can use alias as, or you can skip this as. You can type person type description. Now that column will have a name. Clear? Now you can also use multiple conditions in the where class. Okay, for example, let's say in this select statement, let me pull person type. I'll also pull person title column also. Let's see what do you have in the title column. Okay, we have null, Mr., Mrs., something like that. I can use one more condition in this. I just copy pasted it. So here what I can do, when a person type is in, then I am doing individual customer. I can add one more condition here, like and condition I can add, and title is null. If the title is null, if person type is in and the title is null, then I want to show it as individual contact without title, something like this. Okay, then for with title also, if I should have null and non-null values also, right? So I'll copy this condition. Here for this I use is not null. If the title is not null, then it is individual customer with title. This is without title, this is with title. So you can similarly you can do the same thing for these others as well. Okay, I'll just do this for EM also. I'll just take this condition and then employee with title. I'll copy this. Title is not null. Then employee without title. Correct. Similarly, you can do the same thing for others as well. So now if I execute this, so you get wherever there is null, sorry, this is without, right? And this is with. Now wherever there is title is null, you get employee with title, without title. Wherever there is title, you will get the person type description as employee with title. Like this, you can add multiple conditions. You can add many other conditions also. You can add or clause, and clause. Okay. What is the difference between and or? In case of and, both this condition as well as this condition, left condition as well as right condition of the AND operator should be true. Then only it will give this result. If this is true and this is true, then only it will be completely true and then it will show this result. In case of OR, either this or this should be true to get this result. Okay, that is the difference between AND and OR. Okay, now I was saying we can also nest these case statements, right? So let me modify it a little bit. Let's say I want to incorporate this case statement with this case statement. Within one case statement only I want to do this. For example, I want to show something like this. Let's say if person type is in, okay, and he has this email promotion, whatever value. So I want to show it as individual customer with daily promotion. Then individual customer with weekly promotion, individual customer with monthly promotion, something like that. So I want to incorporate this case statement within this case statement. Okay, how do we do that? Let me just copy this, paste it here below. Now what I do, okay, let me copy this one where we just have only one condition. Okay, here I want to incorporate this in this, right? So anyway, if the person type is in, I get this value, individual customer. After this, what I do, to this I'll add one more condition here. I'll write plus. Plus is the concatenation operator, right? To this text, I'll get these values and append to this. Okay, so let me add this entire thing. I just copy this entire thing, add it here. This is called as like what I'm doing, this indentation, this is called as formatting of your query. Okay, so that you can understand, read it better, right? So this is end. Now what is happening? First of all, I have this outer case statement. In this, I have a condition called when person type equals to in, then individual customer. So whenever it finds in value in this person type column, it will show it as individual customer. And within this, I'm checking if that individual customer is having this email promotion or not. If he's having email promotion 0, then I want to append this value also to it. Like my output would be individual customer daily promotion. Okay, so it will come without the space, right? So what I do, I add space or just the hyphen, so that it will come like this, individual customer, like this it will become. Okay, let's see, you will understand when I execute it with the result. Okay, okay, then I also have the else part. I'll remove and from here. Correct. Similarly, I can add this to others also. Okay, now my simple query became a little complicated, right? Okay, and I don't want to add this for this unknown condition. Can you all see this now as a complete query? Can you all see it? I've just reduced the font size. Okay, see here what we are doing. This is our outer case statement. Okay, so it is starting here and it is ending here. It's starting here and it is ending here. Maybe I'll bring it here so that you understand. So this is where it is starting and this is where it is closing. Within that, inside this case statement, I get this output, right? So whatever output I get by checking this condition, I am adding one more case statement within that to add these values based on another column. So if the person type is EM, then the email promotion is 0, then it will become employee-daily promotion. If it is email promotion 1, it will become employee weekly promotion, like that. Okay, let's execute and see it. Let me execute this. Okay, here. Maybe this I don't want. I'll just remove this. I'll add this at the end. Okay. And after the end, I've given this name, person type description. See now, if person type is EM and the email promotion is 0, then the text that I'm getting is employee-daily promotion. If the person type is EM, email promotion 1, I'm getting employee-weekly promotion. And if it is 2, employee-monthly promotion. So this employee, it is coming from this condition, whereas these values are coming from this inner case statement. Okay, so you can nest your values like this. You can nest your case statement like this, one within the other one. You can go to next level also. Within this case statement, you can add one more case statement like that. Clear? Okay, so you can add it like this also. Let's say there is a employee table where there is a salary column in the employee table, and there is also a department column in that table. So let's say your company has announced a salary hike based on the department that they are in. If they are in IT department, then they should be given 20% hike. If they are in finance department, they should be given 15% of hike. If they are in other department, then maybe 10% of hike. So you want to implement this logic. How do you do? The same way. In the condition, in the case statement, what you do, write case when If the department is IT, then salary into 1.20, which will increase it by 20%. Multiply it. You can also add. See, here I'm using the concatenation operator, so you can use arithmetic operator. For example, I'll just show here. Let's say you write case statement like this: case when department equals to IT, then salary into 1.20 or 1.2, correct? And then I write when department equals to finance, then salary into 1.15, else salary into 1.10, and maybe you call it as hike or updated salary or revised salary. Right? So you can do something like this. You can use arithmetic operators also like this. Right? Now, let's move to subquery. If you're clear with the case statement, let's move to subquery. Yeah, these queries will be given along with the recordings. I'll share this, but there was some technical issue. One of the previous session was not recorded. Even though I've set it auto record, it was not recorded. So I had raised ticket with Microsoft, and they have retrieved it and given it to me. So I think I'll be uploading these today, like all the 4 sessions recording, including today's. Okay, what is subquery? Query written inside a query. Okay, what else? Have you heard about this earlier? This query, okay, to run this query, we don't have department column in our employee table, so that's the reason. So let's assume that you can create a table with the department column, salary column, employee name, employee ID, all that, and then try this. Okay. Ashutosh says inner query for filtering purpose. Query inside query. Okay. Yeah. So simply put, subquery is query within the other query. Okay. Okay, see, for the salary hike, if you use salary plus salary into 1.2, then it will become 120% hike. See, you already have a salary 100, for example, and you do 100 into 1.2, it will become 120. If you do salary plus salary into 1.2, then it will become 100 plus 120. It will become 220. Okay, so for 20% it is salary into 1.2 only. If you want to use salary plus this thing actual percentage, then you can do salary plus salary into 0.2%. You should do something like this. Okay, instead of adding this as plus, I've just taken it as 1 only. Okay. Anyways, try this later. Subquery means query within another query. And it is not only used for filtering, you can also use it in the select statement also. For example, let's say if I go into sales order detail, sales order detail table, if I execute this, what do I have in this? I have sales order ID, sales order detail ID, carrier tracking number, order quantity, product ID, special offer ID, unit price discount, line total, row ID, row geo ID, and modified data. Okay, so if you notice in this row geo ID and modified ID, these are auto generated columns generated by the system. Except that if you see, there is sales order ID and product ID. If you can notice this sales order ID, if you see, there is one sales order ID which is 43569. 43569 till here I have 43569. Sorry, 43659 till here. 12 records I have. This is one sales order ID. And if you notice, with respect to this sales order ID, how many products we have? We have these many products. How many unique products? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we have 12 different products with different quantities. Okay, now we also have line total. Line total is the unit price of this product into the order quantity. The unit price of this product is 2024.994 into 1, then you will get same value. Similarly for this 2024, same price, but you have 3 quantity. If you multiply this by 3, you will get this one. This is your line total. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to understand for this order, what is the total amount. What I can do, I can use group by, of course, but instead of that, sales order ID, and I use comma, I write within the parenthesis, I write one more query called select. Okay, or maybe I want to get the maximum order quantity. Okay, first let's say sum of line total. Okay, and I give a name to this column as total sales. If I execute this, one second. Okay, sorry. I have to use, because I've written a select, right? It should also have from class. Then only it will become a complete query, right? If you run this, it has to execute. Then only it will work here also. Now, what is happening? For each of these sales order ID, there were 12 order IDs with this one. 43665, sorry, 43, what was the value? Let's filter it. Where sales order ID equals to what was the value we had? Select four three six five nine, right? If I check for this product sales order ID, see, now you can notice this query is running little slower compared to just doing the select star. See, if I execute it again, okay, now it is running faster. When you run for the first time, it takes some time because it has to do all that aggregation of the data. Once it does, it will store that in the cache, and then that's when it will be a little faster. If you notice, we have 12 product sales order ID, right? Now what I'm doing the sum of the line total. So for each of these values, for each of these rows, it is showing the total sum. So this is one way of using your subquery. So this is an individual query, right? If you just run only this will also execute. So this is a query. So query within a query is called as subquery. Clear? Now, but with this, what happens? It is showing the same value for each of these order IDs. So if you take distinct, maybe that would be fine. We'll get only one record. It is exactly same as this one. It is exactly same as writing like this. So where should come before the group by. Do you agree? If I execute these two, it'll give the same information. See here, this is the output of the first query, this is the output of the second. It is different value, right? 1 second. Okay. Are you understanding what is happening here? It is, if the value is not exactly same, do you get what is happening here? What is it? Which one is correct in this? Whether this query is giving correct data or this query is giving correct data? Okay. Baba says first one. Suranjan says first one. Prakash says second one. Mantesh says second one. What do you think, others? Second one. Okay. Yeah. So second one is giving you the correct information. Okay. Unsure it is second one. Why? Because here in the first query, what I'm doing, I'm just doing the select sum of line total from the sales order detail. That means this query, inner query, will run individually, right? So when it runs, what it does, that it doesn't know any where condition or anything. It just runs it for the entire table. So in the first query result, this value that you see is the total sales of this entire table, irrespective of any sales order ID. Correct? Whereas in this one, in the group by, what it does, here in the first place itself, we have filtered it. So, and we have also grouped by. After filtering, there is only one value, and it is the one value which is this one, order detail, sales order ID. For that, the sum of line total is done. So this value is actually the sum of this sales order ID. Okay, of course, here also we have the where clause, but this where clause is applicable to this only. But this sum will be the total sum of this entire table. That's why it's not correct. So if you want to make this correct, then you will have to add where clause with for this inner query also. Now if I execute both, are we seeing the same data? Okay. So this is one way you can use your subquery like this. And I just want to modify this query a bit. I'll just copy and paste it here below. Here what I do, if I do select star from this one, we have the order detail as well as the product. Okay, let me just, before this, let me just give you a correlation with this data. So this is order detail table, right? So there's one more table called select star from order detail. Before this, there is one more table called order header. Those tables are here. This is order detail and this is order header. Okay, these are the tables. If you look into the order header table, here you just see only one record with this order ID 43659. Whereas in the order detail table, you will see 12 records for the same order ID. Okay, that means whenever you, for example, let's take an example of Amazon e-commerce. You go to Amazon and you place an order. In that single order, maybe you order multiple things. Let's say you order a phone, a charger, a case to that phone, a tempered glass, right? What else? Maybe a earphone. Like this, you have ordered multiple items, but as an order, it is just one order. So in the order header table, there will be only one entry made. Okay, if I execute this here, this is the order header. In this, what is there? This is your order number. This is the order date, due date, ship date. What is the status of the order, whether it is online or offline. Then sales order number is there. It is like internal other ID. Then if you see who is the customer purchased, who is the salesperson sold it, which location it has been sold, on which address it is billed, which address it has to ship to, what is the shipment method, what is the credit card ID, credit card approval code, currency rate ID if it is in the different currency. Then what is the subtotal, means what is the total amount you have paid for that order, even though you have purchased multiple products, right? On top of this total amount, how much tax you are paying, what is the logistics charges, and what is the total including all of this. So there is only one record for your entire order, which is your sales order header. But in this order, you have purchased multiple items, right? So you should have, the company should have all the details about what are the products purchased and what is the price of each product, all that, right? So that detail is present in this sales order detail table. If I execute this, so here how many? 12 records we have. So let's say you have purchased 776 product. Its unit cost is this. This is the line total of this particular product. Let's say you purchased one more product. Maybe you purchased 3 cases, 3 covers cases for your phone. In that case, same product you have purchased 3 quantities. Then the unit price is this. When you multiply this with the units, you will get this line total for this product. Correct? Hope you're getting this. In the sales order header, we have only one record for your entire order, whereas the details of that order by product is present in this sales order detail table, right? Now, if I want to know in the sales order detail, what is the product which has maximum amount. Okay, what is the line total? What is the product which has the maximum amount? Okay, for that what I do, in this table sales order ID, I'll also add product ID. Then here I change this to max line total. I'll just keep the remaining as it is and execute it. Let's see what happens. If I don't use the where clause, same thing will happen as we were seeing earlier. But if you want to get to this particular product, the particular sales order ID, you have to use where condition. And if you use with this as well, see here, this is your order ID. In that you have these many products purchased, out of which this is the maximum line item. But you don't know for which product this is the maximum line item, right? So in that case, what you can do, you can just little modify it by a group by clause. Let's say sales order ID as maximum line item. Group by. Let's see if this works. Here what is happening? I'll just execute this also. I'll execute these two. Just tell me what is happening. Okay, I'll also filter in this. Do you see what is happening? We wanted to get the product ID which is having maximum line total in this order. Are we getting that result? Or are we getting the same result? Okay, let me make it easier for you. So in this first query, instead of star, I'll select sales order ID, comma, product ID, comma, line total. Line total. Now do we find anything? Let me also order this, order by line total. Okay, I'll order this also, so that order by max value. Okay, now what do you observe here? Are we getting the same result? Even with just the select statement as well as with the group by. Why are we getting the same result? Okay. So when will group by work? Basically, when you have, okay, Mantesh says for each distinct product, the same value be max as well as the total. Okay. When group by will work? Group by will work only when you have multiple values for that particular value. Correct. So let's say for a product ID is 712. Let's say you have multiple records. Then only your group by will work and it will do your aggregation, either max, min, sum, whatever it is. But in this case, what is happening is product ID is distinct. We do not have duplicate product IDs. So it has to do group by on sales order ID and product ID. Since there are no multiple records, there is only one record. So it will just take the maximum of one value. If you take, it will be the same value. If at all there was one more row with same product ID as 712 and the line total as 20 point something, then it would take 20, not 10. But since we have only one value, so it has to take the maximum value of only one row. So it is the same thing. So when you have the distinct values which you use in the group by, then you will get the same result as of your select statement. Okay, that is what is happening. So you can't get the maximum line total. But if you just execute this, this one, let me also execute this, the below one, these two together. Here, what is the maximum value that we have for the product 777? We have the maximum line total of 6074.98200. The same thing is shown for all the products, because here we are doing the max of line total for this sales order ID. What is the maximum value? This is the maximum value, and the same thing is shown for all of this. Okay. Now, what if I want to know only the sales order ID and the product ID where it has the maximum sales order? Let's say I want to get only one column, only one row, this row. How should I modify this query? I'll write select sales order ID line total from sales order detail So here in the where clause, instead of adding this number, you can add it, but one more condition what I add is and. I'll add and, then I'll add line total equals to, I'll write a subquery here in the where clause. Select max of line total from, I'll use this condition now, this subquery. Okay, so if I execute this, what is this giving? It is giving me this value, and I'm comparing that with this line total value with this sales order ID. Okay, now if I execute this, I should get only one record. Are you understanding what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to show you how you can use the subquery inside the where clause also. So this subquery will give you the maximum value for this particular sales order ID. Okay, and that maximum value I'm comparing it with the actual value of this table for the same sales order ID, and it is giving me this result. So if I execute this along with this one, if I execute these two, this is what is the product which is having the maximum line total amount. So I want to get this. So how do I get this? Like this. In subquery, yes, you can skip this where clause, but if you skip this where clause, what happens? It will take the maximum line total for this entire table. So okay, so that maximum value you might not be seeing in this sales order ID. So it won't give you this result. For example, if I remove this and execute, maybe you don't get any record, because the maximum value that this is getting is this one. This is the maximum line total amount from this entire table. So which may not be the maximum value for this sales order ID. That's why it won't work. Now, so for this one particular product ID, I'm getting it. Okay, sorry. For one particular sales order ID, I'm getting this value. Let's say now I want to find a product which is having the maximum value for all the sales order IDs. How do I do it? I can't keep on adding all the sales order IDs here. Let's say I have 1000 sales order IDs. You can't add 1000 sales order IDs in this, right? So it won't work that way. How do I make sure that the maximum line total that I show is with respect to each and every sales order ID? For each and every sales order ID, I get a product ID whose line total is maximum. How do I modify this query? Any idea, any thoughts? For that, we need to use something called correlated subquery. Have you heard about this correlated subquery? Okay, first of all, what is correlated subquery? Okay, few people have heard about it. What is correlated subquery? Nested query? Same like subquery, but they are dependent. Dependent on what? Relationship. Okay. Okay, outer query. Okay. Basically, correlated subquery is also a subquery, but it is related with its outer query. It is related with its outer query. So we call this as inner query. This is our outer query, this entire thing. So this inner query is related with this outer query, and it is called as correlated subquery. Okay, how do we modify this? Let's see if this works. So I alias this table itself. We can also alias the table itself, right? As SOD, sales order detail, I call it as. Now here in the sales order ID, this is the sales order ID of this column, right? What I do, I used SOD dot sales order ID. Instead of hard coding this value, I just wrote SOD dot sales order ID. That means I am referring to this table's sales order ID column, which is this one. Let's see if this works. It gives the same result. One second. Let me copy this. Paste here. Now, if I execute this, is it giving the same result as this one? What I have done here, instead of hard coding this value, I just referred to SOD dot sales order ID. That means I just referred to the outer queries table, outer queries column. Okay. Now if I remove this from here, Let's see what happens. Execute this. Okay. Let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, I'll remove this condition. Now, are we getting the maximum? Are we getting the product ID, which is having the maximum line total for each of the order IDs? See here. Okay, I'll tell you how did we arrive at this. Okay, first of all, just understand that in correlated subquery, the inner subquery will be referring to the outer subqueries column. So that's what is called as correlated subquery. But when we started with the subquery, what we did, first we started off with this, right? This one. So we wrote it without the where clause inside this. We had something like this earlier. So we executed it without the where clause in the subquery. So now what was happening? For this sales order ID, it was showing the maximum total amount of the entire table, irrespective of this sales order ID. Then what we did, we wanted to get the maximum sales amount, which is line total for this particular sales ID. That's why we added that also in the where clause. That's when it was giving us this one particular record. So this is it is not the maximum, sorry, the sum of the line total. Now we wanted to get the maximum. Instead of sum, we wanted to get the maximum line item. So when you execute this, with this, since we have the product ID also, for all the product IDs, we are getting the same result. Even though this is the record that we wanted to get, but since we have these unique product IDs, we were getting the same value for all of these product IDs. Correct? Then what we did, we used this. This was also giving the same result as your select statement, because there are unique product IDs. Then we modified it a bit. Of course, this will give you all the product IDs, for this sales order ID. But we added one more condition. We restricted only to this amount. We checked whether this maximum value is the maximum line total for this product ID. So for this sales order ID. So we filtered in the outer query, we filtered for this record. That means it was giving all of these product IDs. Then using this condition, we got only this value and filtered for this also. That's when we are getting this only this one record. Okay. Now we have hard coded it because we are getting only for this particular sales order ID. But now I want to get the similar output for all the sales order IDs. Let's say if I take 4365660, for example, that also has multiple product IDs. In that, I want to see what is the maximum line total amount for a product. So I have to have one more record as 43660 and the product ID and the value. So that I can't do it with this query. Else I'll have to use that product ID also here. I mean the sales order ID also here. That's when what I did, I use this correlated subquery where I'm not hard coding any of these sales order IDs. What I'm doing, I'm just relating the sales order ID to my inner query from the outer table's sales order ID. Okay, so now it is giving the maximum value of this. So if I add this, actually if I add 43660 here in this, we should notice this record 758. Okay, it has only one record. Let me take one more product. Let's say this one. No, not with this. 1 second, sorry. We need to check here. 60. This will also give only one record. So I wanted to show you this. Okay. 43660. See, this also has two records. Right, 762, 758, out of which 874 is the maximum value. So when I execute this query, I'm getting the maximum value only. So that means for all the sales order IDs, I'm getting the product which is having the maximum amount. Clear? Are you all following this? Yes? No? What about others? See, if you're not understanding, let me know, then I'll explain again. If only few people says yes, like if they have understood. If others, if you didn't understand, I just see only few S's, then I'll move ahead. Then you will not be. I'll never know that you have not understood if you say if you have not understood it. Okay, Baba says didn't understand correlated subquery, ऊपर से चला गया. ठीक है, होता है कभी कभी. Okay, so let me do one thing. So let me show it to you in Excel. Maybe that way you'll understand it little better. Order by sales order. Okay, so if you notice here, I have taken two. Okay, I'll take one more product order sales order ID 43661. Okay, so these many records I have. Okay, let me copy this, put into Excel. I'll copy. You can also right click here and you can copy with the headers. The result you can copy and put it into Excel file. Okay, why is it not copying? Control. Okay, let me save this result as it's not copying properly. I'll save it as CSV. Okay, I've saved it as CSV. This one. Okay. I'll copy this value and paste it in this Excel. This is sales order ID, product ID. This is line total. Okay, so this is the data that I'm getting from this query. Now, in the subquery, what is happening? In this subquery, what is happening? We are filtering the data for this sales order ID, where the maximum value is this. So, when I filter, so this is my detailed data. Okay, this is my subquery data. Here what happens, let's say I'm first in this query, I'm filtering for this sales order ID. So let's say I filter this for the sales order ID, this one. 12 records we have. I'll paste it here. Correct. So this query will give this result set. Now, in this, what I'm doing, I'm adding one more condition where I'm checking the maximum line total for the same sales order ID. So what is the maximum line total in this? This is the maximum line total. Correct. So the output of this one will be only this much. Okay. Are you all getting this till here? Now, in this, what I did, instead of hard coding this value, I related. One second. I related this. Sorry. I related this sales order ID of this inner query with this outer subquery. Sorry, outer query. This is relating to not only this, it is actually just relating to all of this actually. But out of which only this one is selected. That's when it will only take this value. So inside this, you don't have to hard code it. So inside this, we don't have to hard code it. So now what I'm doing, I'm removing this also from here. Okay, so with this correlated subquery, what happens? Let's say, okay, I'll write here. Correlated subquery. let's say this is one data set. Okay, and 660, this is another data set, and 661, this is another one. I'll highlight these in different colors. This in another color. Okay, so here what I'm doing, this inner subquery is doing it is taking the maximum line total for each of the sales order ID. Okay, forget about the outer query right now. The inner query is taking the maximum line total for each of the sales order ID values. So what is the maximum value in each of these sales order IDs? This is actually in this is the maximum value. In this is the maximum value, and in this, what is the maximum value here? I think yeah, 8009 is the maximum value. This is the maximum value. Correct? So your inner subquery, this inner subquery is identifying the sales order ID for, your inner subquery is identifying the maximum line total for each of these sales order IDs. Clear? Now, because here this inner subquery is now referring to, it is relating to the outer subquery's sales order ID, which is these sales order IDs. So what it does, this will be pointed to this sales order ID here, and this will be pointed to this sales order ID. This will be pointed to this sales order ID. Thereby, it will give you only these three records, only these three highlighted records. Right? If you notice here, one second, if you notice here, in the SQL, what is happening here? Of course, the sales order ID is referring to the outer query sales order ID, whereas it will filter for the maximum value in each of those. So this sales order ID, in fact, is referring to all of this, and this is referring to these two, and the third one is referring to all of this. So here, but we also have one more filter condition on the line total, right? So on this sales order ID, it will take what is the maximum line total, this one, and it will show this record. And in this, it will take the maximum value of this and it will show this. And for this sales order ID, it will take the maximum value of this and it will show this record. So this is how this correlated subquery works. Are you all getting it now? Much better than the earlier one? Okay. Okay, what is the order of query execution? In this. First, of course, it will start at the from class. Then it will go to the where clause. In the where clause, it has this condition, and within this, first it will go to this from class, and then where clause. In the where clause, since it already knows what is the table here, because it is first executed this and this where clause. So here, for each sales order ID of this table, it knows what is the correlation in this table. So it does this, then it will show the result. This is the order of the execution. Now in this case, you cannot just use the group by to get this kind of data. So here what we are doing, for each sales order ID, we are taking the product ID which has the maximum amount. If you just use the group by, we tried doing that right earlier. So we tried doing it here. What happened? It was showing the same exact value as your select statement, because we have the distinct values for the product ID. Okay. No, see, it's just because of the inner query, your order of execution will not change. Your order of execution will be starting from here only. It will start from here, from class, then it will come to the where clause. When it comes to the where clause, within the where clause, you have this one, right? Then here also same order of execution. Then within this, let's say this is 1, this is 2, and within this it will come to this from clause again, 3, then this is 4, but here it is referring to this one, which you already know at the first step itself, because it has read, it has started here. So it will correlate with this, and then it will show this result. This is 5. Then this result is compared with this. Then this is the 6th step. This is the order of execution in this. Anyways, do not worry much about that. Understanding, anyway, that is taken care internally. You don't have to worry about that. But for your information, you should be knowing that how it will actually work. Understanding these subquery and correlated subquery is important than that. And hope you all have understood this. Okay, so I'll show you one more thing before we wind up today's session. I said there is something called CT. CT stands for, have you heard about CT? Anybody? Have you used it? Common table expression. Okay. What is common table expression? It is also like a subquery. Okay, let me first write it and show you. The syntax for CT is that you need to use with keyword, with, then the CT name. You can give any name. I call it as my CT. You can give any name, then as, then within the parenthesis, you need to write your query. Okay, we'll just use a same query here. Here, what I do, I use this one. But we need to understand joins also to understand it better. But let's start with this. In the next session, we'll understand joins and then we'll see more about this. Sales order ID, maximum line total, okay. So what is this query giving? This is giving me, I call this as max line total. Okay, it is giving the same result as of this. For each of these sales order IDs, it is giving me maximum line total value. So this is my kind of sub query. Okay. Then what I do, select star from, or maybe just select only these columns. This is the order detail table. I use the same table again. I alias this table as SOD. Then I join this table with this city, my city. I call this as C. I use a joining condition where sales order ID equals to, which sales order ID, SOD dot sales order ID equals to C dot sales order ID and SOD dot line total equals to C, which is my CT. CT is maximum line total. Here it is saying, it is giving error on this column. If I hover my mouse on it, it is ambiguous column name sales order ID, because the sales order ID is present in the CTE as well as in this table. That's why it doesn't know which table to take it from. So I want to take it from SOD. So I type SOD dot sales order ID. If I execute this now, it will give you the same result as of this above query. Okay, so this is called as common table expression. What is the difference between this and this is that almost same, but for a subquery, we are just giving a name. Now here, outside of this CTE, we are referring to this inner query with this name. See, for example, same thing, if I write this, and if I use this query, instead of this my CTE, if I use this query here, it is exactly the same thing. There won't be any difference in your result. This will still work. Correct? But just that, we also call it as named subquery. We give a name to it, and that we use here in our below query. You can use it. Why do we use it in my why do we use it as a CTE? Why can't we just use it as a subquery like this? We can use it, right? But if you use it as a CTE, you can refer outside of this query as many times as you want by just with this name. Whereas if you start using like this, then again, let's say you want to use this below again, you'll have to write these many lines of code again. That is why we use CTEs. We call it as a named subquery. We just give a name to it and we use that in our below queries. And also one more important thing with this CTE is that this inner table it creates, the right, you can do DML operations on that. Insert, update, delete. You can do based on the value that you get here. Okay, so that we will see later in next session maybe, but for now just understand that CTE which stands for common table expressions or common table expression, which is a named subquery. And if you just write execute only this without selecting the CTE, it won't work because it doesn't know what is my CTE. So it has to execute along with this. That means the existence of the CTE is to this query only. If you try to execute it without that, then it won't work. So you have to execute it along with this. Clear? This is CTE for you. Okay. So hope you have understood this. So if any questions you can ask. If not, we can wind up this session today. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Stay tuned. Catch up again next week.